G'day and welcome to David Joshua Ford Live, episode 20, coming to you from New York. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the version 3.1 update that I've made to my profile. So if you've got version 3, that's a free update from my website, so make sure you go grab that. I'm going to show you what's new in that, and we'll do also like a bit of a basic overview because there's some people who are new to my layout and maybe are asking questions about how that all works and how you navigate your way around that. As we go through today, if you notice I have a little bit of a lisp, I had a bit of dental work underway at the moment, so I'm learning to talk again. Hopefully it doesn't confuse it too much. I do think the person who thought the word should be lisp is a bad person, but we are pushing ahead and continuing on with live streams, which just have to learn how to talk again. So this is me, and this is going to be me for the next little while. But the headline of this show is that I have updated my profile. So it's been out for, I think, about a year, and there's been some things that I've wanted to put into that. One of the main ones is H2R version 2, so that is now supported within the profile. And as I said, it's a free download from the website. So what you should do, if you have it already, is go to davidjoshuaford.com. Under the companion profiles, this is where, under your accounts, you can go to downloads. If you will need to log in to get to this page, and you'll be able to download. It'll look like this, like DJF 3.1. This is me just messing around here on my own internal page, but you'll be able to download the companion profile, the bonus assets, and the map of the companion layout. So if you can't get in, you need to use the same email address that you purchased it with. And if you don't have a password, or if you've forgotten the password, then you can do this lost password thing here. Check your spam folder because it'll probably end up in there. And then if you've got your password and your account name, you can download 3.1 as a free update. So you'll want to go do that. That will get you where are we? So you're going to have the companion profile depending on what you bought. So there's the Pro version, the Extreme, the Pro and Extreme, and then I've got a whole bunch of new like PTZ profiles as well. So you'll have one of these profiles in here, which I'm trying, Mac. That'll be the companion profile that you'll install into Companion, and then you'll have your bonus assets folder here. So you will need to update your ATEM macro file here. So if you go under ATEM software control and go up to File, Restore, that's where you would select your you'd find your asset, so under macros, and you would select that, and you would go restore, which I'm not going to step through that now, but all you need to do is select the macros. That is going to update these macros. So particularly on the back end, there's a couple of new multi-view layouts for the Extreme here, so you can quickly jump between different layouts. I'll show you that in a little bit. What else have we got? So if we go back to here, we've got H2R version 2, so you need to use this H2R project file and install that into, wow, where are we? Under Settings, under Import Export, you would import settings and you would select that new file, and that is basically going to give you, I'll say hi to you guys in the chat here in a sec. In the rundown, it's going to pre-fill all of these different graphics. And the reason that's important is that each of these graphics has a specific sort of back-end code that is going to be connected to BitFocus Companion, page 29. So all of these H2R buttons need to connect to that profile button to be able to operate. Otherwise, you're going to be starting from scratch, and you don't want to do that. Okay, there is an OBS profile in there. I'm experimenting with that, but it's not sort of officially supported. So if you want to have a play around with that, take a look. The Stream Deck profiles are the same. So if you've got the native Stream Deck profiles here, this one, then that's going to be the same as version 3. And then we've just got the usual stuff like the templates in there if you want to get a PSD, like a Photoshop template for graphics to get you started, or the slides, which line up with the key that I've got, and a couple of videos in there just to put some stuff into VLC if you need some pretty images to play around with. So that's kind of the back end of the package that you can download. And then under documents is also going to be this like welcome PDF to show you where to install things to. And particularly on this is a lot of information, but it's basically your roadmap to the whole profile. So if you've bought the profile that contains everything, then all of this will be in here. If you've just bought the Pro profile, then for example, you will have pages 64 to 85 that are occupied in here. The code is up here. So purple is the extreme pages, the blue is the Pro pages, and then the PTZ camera pages are towards the back end in the pink. And there's a couple of notes down the bottom here in terms of what has changed and what has been taken away, because we've taken away a couple of things, as you have to do in life, which is good Apple kind of principle, right? You reduce things down to make road for the future. So I'm going to go through some of those changes now, but that's where you would find things on the back end. The main thing with these profiles is, for example, if you've got the extreme, then pages 55 to 58 here are sort of the back end functions. When you like long press a button, that's going to be pressing a button on these pages. So don't change the buttons on these pages, but all of the other pages, if you want to copy a button and paste it somewhere. So if you wanted to go into your media player, like on page 21 here, and copy a still store button and paste it into like your page 2 or 3, like your custom page or your show page, you can move those buttons around and they will function as necessary. It's just these red highlighted ones that are the ones you shouldn't play with so much. So that's what we've got going on there. And let me see. Let's just check in with people before we continue on. Eric says, hello. Good to see you here, as always. It says, I've probably been busy. The HRI Discord is working a lot in June. Yeah, it's been, I've been dealing with my mouth. That is what I've been doing the last 2 weeks. And what else has been going on? My parents are in town, so I'm sort of showing them around New York and that kind of stuff. So, and work has been sort of juggling that as well. So there's been a lot of stuff going on. For me, with this stuff, the big thing has been getting the PTZ camera profiles out there. So that's out there in the wild, and people are downloading that and enjoying being able to control these cameras via the Stream Deck. Peter, really great to have you here. He says he doesn't usually get to watch the videos live, so great to have you here live. You listen to them like a podcast when you're driving. Interesting. Wonder how you do that. Do you have that on your phone with the video playing and it's connected to audio? Maybe I could like repurpose what I'm doing as I feel like it can't be a video, can't be an audio podcast though, right? Because I feel like you kind of need the video to see all of the live streaming stuff that we're doing. But great to have you here. We've got like this review from the Netherlands. Great to have you here, Nico. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was like, man. So I got these some alignment on my teeth, and the first 3 days of having this, which was about 2 weeks ago, I was just like, oh my God, this is like a write-off for the next year. I cannot speak, I cannot eat. And I was just sort of ready to, hide away. So, but you gotta power on. Thank you, Eric, also that you can understand, and there's a thumbs up. The pie is not rendering the emoji, but it is there. Cool. And Eric, yes, H2R version 2. I'm very excited to be able to integrate that. I just wanted to make sure that I had something that was good and usable, something that I would use before I sort of push it out there on you guys, rather than making something that's half built. So that is in there too. Yeah, Peter says he listens to the audio video is playing but hidden away, and then he knows where to go back to. I would love to, maybe you guys know of something, but I want to, within a Stream Deck, build in a marker button so that it would timestamp it, so that at the end of a live stream, I could basically dip into a what do you call it, like a spreadsheet, Google spreadsheet, and copy and paste in chapter markers. I think that would be amazing in terms of time saving, because when you finish an episode and you go back and you're trying to put in chapter markers, it actually takes a long time to find the exact point and then, you know, write up the description. And it's tedious. So, but better for people to be able to find the information that they need right away rather than having to watch an hour-long live stream on something. Jason, thank you for your purchase. I really appreciate the support of people who have purchased the profile. That helps me, gives me energy, also gives me sustenance, but it gives me energy to like know that it is useful for people and to continue to develop that and put that into there. So if you've got that 2 days ago, you have the most up-to-date one, which is good. And yeah, this is correct. The 99 page limit is killing me. Maybe I could put a request into the developers. There was one point where Companion didn't support bigger than like, I don't know, it was like a 500 kilobyte profile, and mine are about 3 megabytes with all of the PNGs in there, and they increased that. So maybe there is room. I don't know if that would get too confusing. All right. Let's move on to, what have we got here? I'm going to show you through what we've got that is new. All right, so we're going to go to this one. I think that's right. SD key. Nope. Mac key. This one. There we go. We got there in the end. Okay, this is my show page here. But we're going to go through what is new in this. One of them is the multi-view layout. So under menu, if we go to multi-view down here, I've now got these buttons so that you can very quickly change your multi-view layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to my home page, and the way that I'm set up today is because if you've watched a couple of my shows, I've had the encoder has like dropped out, and it's happened like 3 times now. Excuse me. And I think it's happened to Doug Johnson as well. He was saying his web presenter encoder has given him problems too. So I'm not sure what the problem is. I think it's something to do with the ATEM talking to YouTube, because I've done the ATEM to Vimeo and it's been fine. But that was giving me problems. So the way that I'm set up today is I am using my ATEM Mini Extreme as usual, but I'm taking the HDMI output of that and going into my ATEM Mini Pro ISO, and then that is streaming to YouTube, and then the Extreme is doing a secondary backup. So I actually have 2 streams going to YouTube at the moment, just to try and avoid any hiccups and all that kind of stuff. But the interesting thing is that gives me the advantage of, assuming that you're on my primary YouTube server at the moment and not looking at my secondary one, is this long press on these buttons here is going to control the HDMI out. So at the moment you're seeing the program, see how it's got this little PGM here, but above it is multi-view. So if I long press this, now I am outputting the multi-view from the ATEM Mini Extreme to the ATEM Mini Pro, and that's what you're watching, and that will sort of give you a little more insight into what we're doing as we go along. My fan has just kicked on, so I'm just going to turn that off. Where are we? There we go. my rack is heating up, but I don't want the audio to get into that. All right, so now what I can do is if I go into my multi-view, you will be able to see that at the moment I'm on the full grid, but I can actually, at a press of a button, make it so that I've got program that's bigger, or I could do like a program preview type scenario. Or another way is kind of like a grid. If I just wanted to do, you know, something very simple, maybe I'm not even live streaming, I'm just using it as a studio output, and I want to get 4 camera sources in there. That's one way of doing that and outputting that. But for the most part, I use this on the full screen grids. I've got an additional monitor up here that is always on just so I can see what is going on. But that is a new macro that is built into there and just makes it easy to change the layout if you don't need all of those boxes. Let's jump to, what have I got? Record button, timestamp. All right, so the other thing I've got on either, let's go back to multi-view. We're gonna go to program. So I'm just gonna push this back to program. So you should be seeing that full screen. Under the custom page, I have a grab still, but mainly under, if you go to, what was it, under media player, there's this grab still button here. And what that is doing is it's grabbing a still, obviously. Previously, that was just you'd press it and it would take a snapshot. But as you've seen before, this is now built in where if I hold this down, so let's go back to program, multi-view. Multi-view, and if I go to, let's go to, no, I should probably show you on, let me go to SuperSource and make that full screen. Here we go, okay. I'm just gonna bring up this one. Gotta get my windows lined up so that you can see my media pool. All right, so I got a couple of things that random things I was shooting before. So in the program, I have SuperSource. So this is gonna take a snapshot of whatever's in program. And on 7, so if I just hit this, it's gonna take a shot. But maybe I wanna get ready. You know, if you're a YouTuber and you're trying to create a thumbnail, you need to like hold a device or something like that. So you don't want to be pushing a button because then you're always going to be leaning over with your hands on something. So that same button now, if I long press it, rather than taking an instant still, it triggers a 5-second timer. So go like that, and it's going to go 5, 4, 3, and I can be like, hey! And there's a little smiley face, boom, loads that up and puts it into the media pool. So that's now built in there just as a little extra thing. While we're on SuperSource, I've done a lot of work on the super sources in here. So now we have all of these layouts have been filled up on page 1. So you can, this is my sort of usual presentation type page, you know, but you can change whatever you want. I've got 2-ups and single screens and insets and quads and some inset quads and 4-up boxes and all that kind of stuff. So that's in there. They are hard cuts. If you want to do something a little more fancy, there is Adam's Mix Effect module in there with the basic presets that he's got in there. So I don't have it connected at the moment, but that would do a transition between these pages. And then page 3 over here is blank, so you can customize or build your own ones and put them in there. Or if you don't need that page, wipe it and use something else with those limited 99 pages. Under input, this is where you're going to be able to control the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the background. You select it. So for example, box 1 is on PTZ1, but I could turn on, 3. Or if I long press 1, it's going to turn off that box. And of course, I can move this around where I want, that kind of stuff. So there's some manual control in there. I'm just going to reset that for the moment. So that's the SuperSource and the grab still. All right, so the big one is H2R. Excuse me a second. All right. So under H2R, this is, where are we? Go back to menu. H2R, this has been redesigned, this page. So I'm going to bring up this. Where are we here? H2R, yeah, okay. So the rundown, as I was saying before in the intro, you need to install this before you get it operating, because all of these slugs need to talk to these particular buttons. But once you've done that, you can then go in and update it. So what have I got in here? animated backgrounds, credits. You can do a website. Images are in there. A message. I can probably trigger some of these coming up next, that kind of stuff. And you'll notice they're linked with dynamic feedback. So if I wanted a ticker to come up, it's coming up on the bottom. And so the way that I have this set up is you trigger, like for example, icon is the website to tell you where to go. So I press that and it will bring it on. Say, this is where you can download the profile, davidjoshuaford.com/account/downloads. And the way that you take that off is you long press the same button. I haven't been able to build in a queue button. I'd love to be able to, but it would become a very complex page, and I just wanted to keep that simple. So these are ones where you can bring on a lower third and press it again to take it away. You can bring on a lower third list, and you can cycle through whatever the people are that you've got in there. I'm going to turn this off. And you can do, if you've got multiple things on, like I don't know, turn on the chat. Obviously you don't want the chat on, that's going to be the same one. Let's go like end time, just say we're going to end this show in 8 minutes. Wow, that went very quickly. Then we can, or the ticker, bring this back on. You've got the hide all button if you want to get rid of those buttons at any time. So that is in there. Yeah, there's a ton more stuff in there. It's awesome. John's done a great job with that. Also being able to where are we? Done settings, rundown. So under the output now, you can have multiple outputs. So my output number 1 is actually being sent over to the Raspberry Pi, which you can see on here. So input number 8, that green box at the end, that's actually a full screen Raspberry Pi. And when I trigger something like a message, I don't know, it'll come up. The Pi is not fully rendering at the moment, as you can see on that one. And bring that in. Yeah, so that would come in like that. That's the way that I've got set up. Most people are probably going to do more of like a Mac or a PC with an HDMI out, and that will run very well, very smoothly. And so I recommend going that route if you are having troubles with the Pi. I just kind of like getting it into my rack and not having to have an additional cable out. There's 2 things that have been removed, which I don't think they're really a loss, because I don't think anyone would really use them. But there was under the original 3.0, there was a tally page which had under companion, it would just sort of show you which was on. So if you had like that up on an iPad, you could see what the tally was doing, but I think it was kind of a dud page. So I took that out. And then under the Extreme and the Pro both have vertical pages. So if I go to menu and VT here, it's going to be vertical. And that is going to be something that would show up on your iPhone. So if you use the Elgato Stream Deck app, like it's like $3 a month, you can connect that via your phone, and it is going to show up in a 15-button array. And this is actually will rotate vertically so that you can hold that and walk around the menu and make some changes, like the same sort of stuff here. I've got the program changes here, and you can jump between the main page and a custom page with some key inputs, edit the buttons if you want, but I just limited that down to 2 pages for the vertical, 2 vertical pages for the Pro and 2 for the Extreme, to make room for stuff on the other 99 pages. Plus I feel like there's probably a better limited amount of usage for it too. Yeah, so that is basically the gist of what I have going on here. And what else we got? Any other comments? Nope. Don't think so. We'll check everything's good in here. Yep. Everything is good. See, so before on, what was it? There's like 3 times where I was getting this message saying it wasn't sending enough data rate, even though it still is. Yeah, do you guys have any questions before we wrap up today? Let me see what we've got in terms of time left. H2R end time, 4 minutes and 50 seconds. I love that timer. It just gives you a little like neat half-hour show to work with. So I'll just keep that timer up so that we are very disciplined about keeping today's show to a half hour. I am, there we go. I will be off next week for the 4th of July, going to the beach. So I hope you guys have if you're in America, you have a great 4th of July. If you're somewhere else in the world, you're probably working or surviving the winter. Yeah, if you have any questions about the updates, go, I don't know, shoot me an email or type something in the comments. The main thing I think I find is if someone's bought the profile and then they're trying to find their account details, they don't know how to get in. So if you've bought it as a guest logout, then you need to use the same email address that you purchased the profile with. And if you haven't got a password, then what am I going to here? Let's go to this one. Yeah, if you haven't got that, the main thing, because the main emails I get from people are like, how do I log into my account? Which is under, so companion profiles, the Extreme, the Pro, PTZ profiles that are all new. If you want to do a consultation, actually, here is, you can book like a 1-hour consultation with me and you'll see my schedule there. So you can jump on that. I've got a bunch of people that are consulting with to help them with their profile, either like modifying the profile or just like how to set up a home studio and that kind of stuff. What else have we got? Are we past the time? No, we're not past the time. Why am I not seeing my button here? I'm going to bring up my H2R. I must have put a timer on it. Let me see. Let me just double check here. H2R rundown, time of day, edit, triggers. No, it should stay on there. Oh, it's because I pushed that button before and so it cleared it. All right. Anyway, so yes, download it from here. You can go into, not account details, is it? Yeah, if you go account, lost password, it's going to say put in your email address that you used and then go and check your spam folder before emailing me, because that's probably what the problem is there. Also, if you want to join the mailer, you can join the mailer and when things come out, I will keep you up to date. Cool. Let me see. Any last questions before we get off here? What do we got? Eric says, stream is stable today. Kudos to me for having a backup in place. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where so I had the Pro and then I bought the Extreme and I was just using Extreme and that was okay. But then when I started having those encoding problems, I'm like, well, I've got a Pro that's just sitting there and most of the time I don't turn on. So now I think I'm just going to run it as a backup encoder. And, you know, there's still jobs where I use it on like a main room and then use the Pro in a breakout room. But it's not a bad way to, I don't know, have an encoder for $500 or $800 or whatever they sell for today. Alvin, glad that you enjoyed the updates. Thanks for that. Yeah, if you've purchased that, go get the free one. And we've also got thanks for the upgrade and the update. So excellent. Well, let me know what you guys are up to. What are the things that you are working on and that you would like to see added to this? I am trying to keep the profile like useful for most people and not getting too crowded and too cluttered, because otherwise there's a lot of cruft that you kind of got to keep updated, even though it can, you know, only service a small number of people. But I am curious about like OBS and NDI and how that plays into the PTZ. So, but thanks for watching, guys. And I would say as I said, have a great long weekend, 4th of July. I'm not going to be here next week, but I will be back the following week and we can continue on. In the meantime, go to davidjoshuaford.com/accounts, downloads, and that is where you are going to be able to download the free update of DJF Profile 3.1. All right, catch ya.